So let me introduce Aniket and Nikhil. So Aniket and Nikhil were my classmates when I was at IIT Delhi. We were all pursuing computer science, and then we all pursued different paths. Although Aniket and Nikhil both had got brilliant job opportunities and higher studies opportunities, Nikhil had got applied scientist position with Amazon in Seattle, and Aniket was pursuing research at MIT, which was not Manipal, by the way. And he also had offers from CMU for masters in machine learning. And they left all those opportunities to bet on their startup idea. And today in this video, let's figure out how their bet is going on. So welcome Nikhil and Aniket on the episode 2 of Startup Talk. So guys, a very warm welcome, and have heard about LimeChat. You guys are creating a chatbot especially for e-commerce purposes. And I read on your website that you guys are creating a level 3 AI chatbot, which you claim is much better than a level 2 AI chatbot. So tell us more about what exactly is level 3 AI chatbot.
So first of all, thank you, Shivang, for having us, and for jumping right into the difficult questions. So like you introduced us, I'm Nikhil. This is Aniket, and basically the concept behind LimeChat is that we were looking to revolutionize the way that customer experience happens currently with online brands. How do customers engage with these brands? And we were looking at different type of technologies that we could use to kind of enhance this experience. And we both have a very deep understanding of AI, ML, NLP, and have published a lot of papers in that domain, at least in top-tier conferences. And so we thought we'd use that knowledge and kind of create this next generation of chatbots, which we term as level 3 chatbots. So the aim here is basically to understand what the consumer wants in real time and give a very personalized type of experience. I'm sure that a lot of us have actually interacted with chatbots, and it's been a very subpar kind of experience, going on in infinite loops, just clicking on random buttons are not leading you to the goal. And the same experience is seen across different consumers. So there's no personalization at all. So level 3 technology, what it essentially does, it kind of mimics the human brain. So as we have a conversation with this new level of tech, it understands and remembers certain parts of the conversation to be used later. And it can use that information and merge it up with external database information, such as customer previous purchases or preferences, and use that to kind of very customized and very personalized type of experience for the end customer. So that's the kind of vision that we started off with, and it's been several months and several iterations later. We're finally here. We started to work with several brands, and we've been seeing really good results. So when we started off, it was supposed to be just aiming at providing good customer support. However, as time went on, we figured out that our bot was able to do sales, which was a very, very interesting and unexpected type of development. So it was mimicking an actual live sales agent that we see in shops, that when you go to a store, a personalized sales agent comes to you and helps you. It asks you questions about what are you looking for, and it'll help you match with the right type of product. And the chances of conversion increase. So we tried to kind of mimic this behavior again in an automated way. And we were sort of successful, at least so far. And we're exploring further possibilities in that.
Okay, so we know that ML algorithms are basically data and some kind of a machine learning model. And with recent advancements in NLP, with GPT-3 and all of that, how do you and your product is leveraging those recent technologies, and how much you still have to go for industrialization of those latest research in AI and ML? First question would be that. And second would be, like, what data are you using, and are there any legal and other concerns that your startup is worried about?
Let me take that one. So coming to your starting with the first question about what kind of models we are using. So the recent advancements in NLP relating to transformers, that has been really, really helpful for us. And that is actually what helps set us apart from the other competitors, because they all started in 2015 or 16, where very basic neural networks and rule-based systems were being applied. And when we started in 2020, already there was a lot of work regarding transformers. And we were able to leverage that work and get some great results right off the shelf. So we were the other competitors, they had spent 3 or 4 years on their systems, and we were able to beat them right off the bat because of these technologies. And our experience in these technologies helped out a lot to get our initial performance benchmarks. Right. And regarding data, that is a really interesting question, because that is the biggest problem for an ML startup. Because you need data to get good models to get good performance. And from if you have no clients, then how will you get data? It is kind of like a chicken and egg problem. So we had to find some creative ways to get around it. So we actually tried to make a very small version of the chatbot and play around with it ourselves to generate some real data. People in our team, our friends, we gave it to all of them, and kind of like we focused on a very small use case and tried to get data only for that use case, so that works very well. And we went with that use case to companies and showed them the vision that if we are able to make only these single step FAQs work this well, then imagine what we can do if we have your real customer data. Then all your flows, like, we can actually become a personalized sales agent. And we pitched to a lot of companies, 20, 30 companies, and out of them only one or two of them were able to see our vision and give us a chance. They were the early adopters, and those have been really critical in helping us build our models, because we were able to get some real interaction data from their customers each and every day, like tens or hundreds of conversations each and every day, and build our models on bootstrap our models basically on top of that. And and the legal aspect is something which we are very conscious about, because we are very conscious about not sharing data across companies, making sure, like, even in the backend, our data systems do not for different companies do not interact too much with each other, so that the insights for one company do not get transferred to their competitors and stuff like that. So we are very conscious about that as a company.
And just to add on that point, I think you talked about data again. So ML and AI is just this broad spectrum. I mean, we can apply data left and right. But if it's not used in the right direction, it becomes very hard to kind of create a working algorithm. So when we started off in the market, you could create a chatbot that, is very horizontal in nature. It could be serving NBFCs, financial institutions, healthcare, telecom, and e-commerce is just one small part of that. And we decided that if we want to kind of create something that is tech first and that actually works, then we have to narrow it down to a particular verticalization. And that's why we took e-commerce as one that would really benefit from such a verticalization. And we've kind of started working towards this common goal called conversational commerce, which is like buying through a conversational medium, which is chat. And now most of our customers, interacting with brands on channels such as WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger. And again, this is very, very personalized in this domain of online shopping. And I think that's one reason why we were able to be successful with our technology.
So definitely in terms of knowledge, technology, I trust you guys. But let's take a diversion here. I know both of you are very excited to motivate juniors, your juniors from IT Delhi and other people, other young kids who want to start with their own startups and who want to take that plunge, but it's hard. It's a risky thing. And I know you both are very passionate about motivating them. So let's start with Aniket. How would you describe your startup journey and how would you motivate those young kids to take that plunge?
Right. So first of all, like, we belong from IIT Delhi, and it has a very rich tradition of producing the best entrepreneurs in India. Around 50% of the unicorns in India are from IIT Delhi itself, which is really an unprecedented number. So that always motivated me right from the first year of college, and I always had an entrepreneurial bent of mind. So I actually started my entrepreneurship journey right in my second year when I tried to do one or two startups at that time. And even though those were kind of failed experiences, but they were huge learning opportunities for me. And because of that, I went on to intern at a lot of startups. And if you ask me, like, why am I so obsessed about startups, like, oh, why don't I just stick to the normal path, try to do a job and stuff like that? Because I feel that we are in a very unique position when we are, especially if you are in a very good college or in IIT, that you don't have to worry about backup options, and you are able to connect with people who have grand visions. So you actually have the opportunity to have a great impact on the world. Like, you can start with a small idea, you have a good tech background, you have good connects in the industry, So you can work on this idea and make it something really big like Flipkart, and you can make something so big that can touch the lives of so many people and create huge value at the scale of a country or at the scale of the world. And if there is even 1% chance of something like this succeeding, then I feel that it would be a huge opportunity missed if I don't take that. And if I look on the flip side, if it does not work, then because we are from IIT Delhi, we never have to worry that we will get a great job or stuff like that. And actually, it is not just for for people from IIT. If you have good technical skills, then you will always get a job in the industry. So that is not something which you should put on first priority in your life. And like your early 20s, those are the times where you can take the most risk, where you have the least to lose, where have the least social commitments and all that stuff. So like it it is definitely worthwhile to take that risk to create huge impact at scale, or to create huge value for yourself and for a lot of others. And basically like start a startup basically at this in the 2020s. Definitely this is the this is a very unique time where even anyone can do a startup and actually create a value at the scale of a country or at the scale of the world. So that is what actually motivated me to do a startup, to be able to create value at a huge scale.
So, Nikhil, would you like to add on?
I mean, I think I share a lot of similarities in that vision with Aniket. And I think talking about a journey like taking a plunge, I think it's always very hard. And the reason why it's hard is that throughout our life, we've been following the system, and we always know that, okay, if I just put my efforts in this direction, I'm going to get a result. And a startup is kind of, like a black box. You don't know if I'm going to put in effort, am I going to get a result after that? So I think it'd be okay with that possibility that it's fine. It's not just about the end result. It's not just about the goal. It's not just achieving like $1 billion company. It's about the learnings you get along the way. You understand how a business is supposed to work. And I think that is something that really intrigued me. So LimeChat is actually our second startup together. We had done a startup before this called Conscience, and we were kind of doing election campaigning during the Lok Sabha elections. And we got a lot of learnings from that particular startup itself. And that kind of helped us shape a much better path for LimeChat itself. And that's why we've been able to really grow rapidly in the past 1 year. So for all those young aspirants out there, I think the hardest part in this whole journey might not just be, taking that risk, but it might be, being convinced that they're working on an idea that is valuable. I've talked to a lot of people, a lot of my juniors as well, and they say the hardest part is coming up with an idea. And the problem, why that's a problem is because you haven't had experience in the industry. You don't know what real problems exist out there. You've been in this very secluded environment in college, and you don't really know that how can I create value for companies, or how can I create values for people. And that is a very, very hard problem to kind of tackle. And my suggestion is that kind of break out of that college mold, start talking to people outside of your peer group. You can get a lot of connections on LinkedIn. You can get connected to really good people, founders, like even just like people like us are always willing to talk to juniors and help them out and guide them and give them the right kind of guidance, and reading the right type of books, asking the right type of questions. And I think that can go a long way in kind of helping you figure out how I can create value or what the right problem is to be solved.
Actually, on that note, I would say that any one of your viewers who is interested in how to do a startup, how to actually like get the idea, how to manage your finances, and how to take the plunge in general, like they should feel free to contact me or Nikhil, any of us. Like we would be happy to help out in that. And I'm actually also working on a series of blogs which would help these budding entrepreneurs basically get a very good idea and get an idea of learnings from good entrepreneurs, so that they can avoid all their mistakes. And I think I'll talk. I want to talk to a lot more people before I release it, so that it is very well suited for them.
Yeah, and I'm sure they would be very happy to contact you guys. And there's a lot to learn from both of you. So continuing on that, to make their lives easier, can you share your journey? How did you create your first MVP? How did you approach people to convince that your idea works? Because that's always a tough one. To get your first client is always a tough one. So how did you do all that?
I think getting the first client is one of the hardest things possible in the journey. I think I would like to restrict myself to the current startup, LimeChat. I think like I said, we took a lot of learnings from our first version in Conscience, and we understood that it's very important to do the initial market research before you actually take that plunge. So once we had this idea that, okay, we can kind of create this next level technology in chatbot, in the chatbot space, what type of industries would best benefit from having such a high level chatbot? So like I said, we looked at different industries. We looked at e-commerce in particular. We looked at financial institutions as well. We talked to a lot of people. How we talked to them was we reached out through LinkedIn. So in our profile, we do have a strong college, we have a strong background. Just randomly figure out the right type of people you want to talk to. Just open the company profile, look at all the employees, and just start sending them connect requests. So you try to send requests to two different type of people: people higher up the management who can kind of relate to you, and people lower in the management who would just be happy to get a connect from you, things like that. And either one, if you do get connected to anyone in that company, just schedule a call. Just say that I want a 15-minute call. And there are proper ways of templatizing this type of message so that you can get a good success rate. So that's kind of what we did. We made a list of about 300, 400 D2C companies or internet first companies in India. And we just sent requests every single day. So we have a limit on LinkedIn to send like 100 requests. Every single day we would like do 90 odd requests. We would get connections, and we would just start sending them messages. So even though the hit rate might only be like maybe 5 to 10%, but that still allowed us to talk to at least 50 to 60 founders eventually in that space, and we got to hear it from firsthand what their problems were. And we read this amazing book, and we keep recommending it to people. It's called The Mom Test, and it's recommended by YC as well. And so it gives us a unique way of like asking questions to really validate a problem for those businesses. And it turned out that this was a really big problem for them, customer engagement. They had tried out different chatbots in the past, but none of them were technologically significant or capable of solving their use cases. So that kind of got us the validation that, yes, this is a problem that needs to be solved. Then we went around and built the MVP, just tackling the major problems that they had. So, I mean, at that moment of time, we had an option to build 100 features. But if we if we said internally that let's build all 100 and then release, we would still not be operational today. So what we said is let's build the major features first. And again, one book that helped us in this journey was The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. They talk about how to really just focus on the main problems initially and create an MVP that just put it out in the market as quickly as possible and just start getting feedback. I think that feedback loop is so important. So we got some really great people from IIT Delhi, only juniors, to come and work with us. We built an MVP very quickly, and we started doing sales. And we contacted the same people that we had touched on in the market research phase, and they were already excited that we listened to them. We created something that solved the problems directly, and they became our first customers initially. So as soon as we went for the sales process, we got like 5 to 10 customers within a couple of weeks. So that was very, very exciting for us. And ever since, we've been working very close, hand in hand with them, getting user feedback every single day and how to improve our systems. And today, I think we've had a lot of learnings, and our system is much more robust. And it's doing a much better job at the moment.
Since you mentioned about Eric Rice, he says that startup is definitely an iterative process. You need to get constant feedback, which you are doing, and move forward. So tell us more about this process. Like, is there a systematic way to get that feedback and incorporate you as an AI startup? Because getting the feedback and incorporating that to your bot through the data is a challenge for an AI startup. So how do you achieve that?
Right. So for this, there are two separate ways on how to approach it. One is even before you have a product, which is the pre-product phase, and one is the post-product phase, when your product is actually being used by real users. So in the pre-product phase, you only have clients to talk to. You cannot talk to potential users. You can actually talk to potential users, but it is very difficult to get an idea of what they actually want versus what they say they want. And this is the key. This is also something which is solved, which is the core of the Mount test. And to do that, what you have to do is ask very open-ended questions. You cannot ask them like, I'm going to make this feature. Does this sound exciting to you? You just have to ask open-ended questions about their problems. And in the first iteration of your product, you just try to identify what is the biggest pain point out of what they have said, and just focus on the problems that they are talking about. So once you have the idea of the biggest problem, you try to use your expertise to make the best solution for that, and then give it in their hands. So now there is a product in the market very fast, and you need feedback. So you can take feedback from metrics about actual user usage. You can actually talk to users to see what problems they are finding with their current product. what is the next pain point that they have. Again, the key is to focus on pain points and not to focus on features, because users always or talk about things in such a way that it would be great if I would have this feature. But what they are actually saying is that I have this particular pain point and I think that this is the feature to solve it. If we are, from our experience in conscience, we actually followed the first approach where people would just ask us for features, we would build those features, and most of the time people were not satisfied with those features because it did not address the core problem. So the key is to just in your questioning, in your interviews that you conduct with your users and with your clients, just focus on getting the right problems that they have. And once you have once you have a good understanding of the problems, you in your iterative process, you just try to solve their biggest pain points in the best way possible that you think. And eventually you in your as you keep on iterating, you will realize that people are feeling satisfied on their own because you are addressing their core pain points.
Well, that was definitely a good insight. Okay, so let's now talk about your general experience, not as an AI startup, but doing a startup. Like, what would be the three things you love doing a startup, and what are the three things you hate about doing the startup? So let's start with Aniket.
If I focus on the things that I love the most, I feel that I'm getting to create value at a huge scale. Like I am directly interacting with the problem, and I'm this is a problem which I'm deeply passionate about. So I'm able to I feel that I'm directly able to contribute in the lives of users, and actually when I hear their feedback and see that I have solved their pain points, both for the users and the clients, I feel like a deep sense of fulfillment. And in terms of learning also, I feel it is very fulfilling because I was never a kind of person who had a specialist mentality that I wanted to go very deep into one subject and master it. I actually wanted to um, get a decent depth into a lot of different subjects like hiring, management, legal, sales, marketing, as well as AI. And I feel that a startup gives you the best opportunity to learn very well across all these domains, basically. And basically the core of startup is problem solving. And like the reason I even went to IIT was not because I was interested in computer science or because I was interested in like physics or whatever they ask in JEE. What I was interested in was actually doing problem solving, and the startup helps me, like, keeps me closer to that core of problem solving, which I feel that a lot of jobs take you away from. Because and like being a generalist actually is the best gives you the best platform to solve problems. Now, coming to things that I don't like, actually the things that I like are much higher in magnitude, and they really trump the things that I don't like. These are like really minor things. But one thing, if I say, is um, in a startup there are a lot of there are like 10 different things which happen at the same time. And if you are a kind of if you have a perfectionist mindset, that when you take a task, you try to get a perfect result out of that task. If you are someone like that, then it is very difficult to do very well, because you actually have to very aggressively prioritize, and you actually have to leave some things. You actually have to do some things very suboptimally and some things very good. You always have to make those trade-offs. And if you are a perfectionist, you feel kind of uh, uncomfortable doing this. And sometimes I have felt that I have had to do some things suboptimally just because of lack of time and because I had to prioritize other things. And sometimes I feel a bit bad about that. But overall, it has been like a really great experience, and I don't have too many like bad things to talk about it other than that.
Okay, Nikhil, your turn.
I mean, again, these questions are very, very transitive. I mean, a lot of the things that Aniket has talked about. I think the core principle here is that you got to be a generalist. And that's something that I've always enjoyed doing throughout my life. I like to, not just stick to one thing, but explore other options along the way. And in terms of, building the startup, you get to learn a lot about not just tech and how tech should evolve. That is something that we're already very close to. But at the same time, you get to learn about, human behavior, psychology, understanding how we can make other people happier, how we can lead a team. Leadership is something that we're not accustomed to. At least we don't get a lot of opportunities to actually lead over a long period of time. So I think understanding what goes into becoming a good leader and understanding those principles has been really, really helpful. We're making a lot of mistakes along the way, but I'm also learning at the same time that, okay, I should avoid these and these are much better. And over a period of time, I think those are very important skills to have throughout a job career. And again, being a generalist, you get to work on things like hiring, you get to work on business development as a whole, which honestly, in when you're doing engineering, you kind of feel like those are like, kind of just jobs for the show, for the sake of it, and they don't really have too much value. I mean, if you're building a product from a tech aspect, that's the main thing in the company. Why do we need like business analysts? Why do we need people to understand the market and waste money and resources on that in that domain? But I think that's one thing that we have understood, that it's equally important, maybe even more at times, to make sure that we have the right direction, we have the right market opportunities open for us, and the right business deals are being conducted, the right vision. Because one thing that we decide internally as a team, that's where the vision of the company goes into. And I think it's very exciting that we have that capability and power. At the same time, it's very, very terrifying that, oh, what if we make the wrong mistakes? We don't want to make too many mistakes. So I think that's when, having experienced people helping us out throughout this journey has been really, really helpful. And I think one plus point I would say about a startup is that you get an opportunity to interact with these amazing, amazing entrepreneurs who, not just invest in your company, but also give you time and the mentorship. And they tell you their failures and successes, and you learn from that. So we've been able to interact with, really, really great people that we admired. And one of the reasons we started off in this space, and being connected to them and having them back us is a very good experience. And in terms of, again, some negatives, I totally agree with Aniket. You're just tackling fires, one fire from the next. And as the startup grows and the team grows, you just get more and more fires along the way. And some are bigger than the others. You just prioritize. And if you have that perfectionist mindset, it becomes very, very difficult to kind of, have that, to keep sane during this period of time. I think a lot of effort has to be put into, having that mental toughness to kind of get through those type of periods. But yeah, I think overall it's worth it.
So you just talked about skills, and I think as a startup founder, one of the most important skills would be goal setting, like how to prioritize, as you mentioned. So how would you say, like, what would you say are now your long-term or short-term goals from right now, and how do you prioritize them?
I think that's a very, very good question to ask any founder. Goals are they are sometimes short-minded also, and they're long-term, sometimes too long in the future as well. And goals keep changing; they keep evolving over a period of time as the startup grows. You never know what phase your startup is going to get into the future. For example, for us, our goal was initially to just get some sort of funding before we again went into this journey, and that was a short-term goal. When we got that funding, we're like, okay, what next? Okay, now we don't work on a problem. So we always have a series of short-term goals along this way. Another goal was, to get accepted into YC. That has been a goal and an aspiration of many, many founders along the way. And we'd applied at least, this was our third time applying, and we finally got in. So it was a very, very, it was a very exciting experience for us to kind of get selected. So now once that goal is completed, you always try to move on to the next thing. So right now for the company, our long-term goal, I would say, is to kind of figure out and reach what we call a PMF, product market fit, in India, in the Indian market, so that our product can really grow and we can work with a lot more clients here in the subcontinent, and then also move outside of the Indian subcontinent into maybe the US markets and the UK markets. So because I feel that that's where the internet first brands really exist, they have a larger market there, and we can kind of create more value and grow as a company.
Yeah. So one thing you mentioned was that we often, as an engineers, undermine the importance of business skills. We undermine the importance of sales. We undermine the importance of basically delivering the product and how to go through that pipeline. So how do you, as a startup, divide that time between the business, like the time spent on business and delivering the product and sales, and the time spent on engineering side of it? How is your time divided based on that?
Right. So this breakup and this answer varied a lot as we evolved and as we went through different stages. So in our first startup, actually, when we started, both of us came from an engineering background and engineering mindset. So we thought that the product was the most important thing, and if we made a great product, then it would sell itself. So we just started to make a product without talking to too many people. We just got some basic idea about some features that clients were mentioning, and we just went ahead and started to build those features. and I would say we built a pretty great product. But once we did that, it turned out that very few people actually want to buy it, and like understanding the customer need and selling it is actually super hard, especially since we were from an engineering background and we did not know, we did not have too much sales experience, and like we did not know how to do the process too well. So that is something which we refined in our second approach. So the second time what we did was we just approached customers, as Nikhil said. We connected to them on LinkedIn. We just heard a lot about their problems. We did things that was like specified in the mom test. We conducted a lot of customer interviews, and we figured out what they wanted. And so we focused a lot on business development in the start. So that was the first phase, and then came the second phase where we focused on the product, where we knew that these were the problems to be solved, and now let's focus all our energies on solving them. So initially, the company worked in cycles. At first, we did a lot of business development. Then we worked on product. Then again, we put the product back into the market. Tried to get 5 people on board. Tried to get it in the hands of their users and to get feedback. So 1 month again we focused on that. Then again we took feedback from those people and tried to build more features or improve the existing features, remove bugs. So initially, it all happened in a cyclical manner until our product reached a basic level of usability, and it was able to achieve what goals we had set and what promises we had made at a decent level, basically. And at that time, we actually formalized both the product and the sales teams to do things in parallel. So now the as we move forward, the challenge is more keeping the product and the sales team in sync. That the feedback gotten from the product team goes to the sales team and helps them improve their message and targeting, and the feedback from the sales team about the messaging reaches the product team, and the speed at which we can implement is actually the same speed at which the sales people are closing sales. So keeping all these things in sync are the challenges that we are facing currently. But initially, it is all about perfecting that balance among the cycles of business development and product development.
So I heard that you keep on hiring, or you are like you keep on looking for fresh talent. So would you like to address fresh talent to excite them, join you in your journey?
I mean, definitely, we're always trying to hire great people to come and work in the company, grow alongside. I think the three things we really focus on when kind of having someone join us is that they should be passionate about the field that we're in. They should be passionate about the product we're building. They should have a tenacity to kind of get the problem solved, look towards how to in different ways to get the job done, and they should be eager to learn in that respect. And the third is that they should care about their own personal growth as well. It's not a selfish. It should be a little bit of selfishness in that sense, that they want to come here and they want to really learn the necessary skill sets, and we kind of encourage that as much as possible. That you come in here, you tell us what your aspirations are, how do you see yourself growing in the next couple of years, and we want to help you along that path. Because as we all grow as a company, I think it's a good environment and it creates a really good culture overall. But apart from that, even if you don't join us, no worries. I think the main message that we want to give out is that if you do have uh, any type of ambition of starting something out yourself, I would say that this is the best time to go for it. And if you need any help, any guidance along the way, you can always get in touch with us either through Shivang or through us directly on LinkedIn, and we'll be happy to help out in any way.
Well, that was definitely a very helpful interview for all of us. I learned a lot through our conversations, and I'm sure our viewers will also learn a lot from this conversation. And we wish you and your startup a big, big success. Thank you for today.
Well, thanks, Shivang, for having us. It was a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it was great interacting with you, and
See you in the next video.
thanks for great to be part of this.